How's it going, guys, and welcome to today's video. Fall is officially here and I've got a lot of groundwork to do before I can plant my hay. That's what we're doing today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. Before I can get started with my groundwork though, I have got to do something about this Johnson grass that's growing down here in the end of the field. It's probably 6, maybe even 7 foot tall in some spots. And the thing about that is that tall grass like this just does not work with the disc, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. So before I can get started with the disc, I'm going to have to hook up my flail mower and run this stuff down and chop it up. The flail mower does a great job of chopping up this really tall grass into very fine small pieces that should incorporate well. So even though this put me a couple hours behind on my groundwork, it's going to be well worth it in the end. Today I'm using a new Holland TN95, which is a 90 engine horse tractor. And I am pulling a 10-foot Domrey's disc, and it is pulling a 10-foot Schmeiser ring roller. The last video that you guys saw in the hayfield, I was pulling the chisel out here, and I've come back and disked this field once since then, but as you can see, we've still got some big monster clods out here, so that's what we're trying to get rid of. In order for our seeds to get a good germination, we can't have giant clods like this because it leaves too many air gaps in there and the ground does not surround the seed. So it looks like I'm going to be out here all day sitting on the tractor trying to get this in shape, and hopefully next weekend I'll be able to float and roll it, get everything smoothed out so that when the weather determines that it's time for me to plant, I'm ready to go. I thought it would be kind of cool in this video to fly the field now before we get started, and then fly it again at lunchtime, and then again when we're done. And what my hope is that you guys will be able to see a little bit better kind of what we're trying to get done out here. Pretty much everything that you can see that isn't planted in an orchard is what we're going to be going over today. And I'm sure that some of you guys are going to ask, all the trees that you see are walnut trees. My hayfield's about 35 or maybe a little bit more acres, and there's still a lot of stubble out here left from the last season's crop. Some weeds are popping up here and there, and there's a lot of clods as well. These are the things that we're going to be trying to address today with the disc. I think it's enough talking. Let's fire up this tractor and get going. Just as I was starting to settle into my groove, I noticed that I'd hit something with the disc, and don't ask me why, but for some strange reason, when I realized what it was, I had to jump off and get a closer look. I've always heard that there are rattlesnakes back here by the river, but I never have actually seen one until now. And this guy wouldn't really straighten out all the way for me, but I think he's about 3 feet long. Seemed like a pretty big snake to me. Well, I decided to stop underneath my favorite shade tree here. Seems like I film a lot of clips under this tree. Anyway, I decided to stop and eat some lunch, and I thought it would be a good time to show you guys the difference between the ground that I've disked that looks like it's good and ready to make a seed bed and the ground that still needs a little bit more work. If the whole field looked like this little spot right here, I'd say it's completely done and ready to plant. You can see that the majority of this is worked up pretty good and broken up into marble-sized pieces and below. A few, bigger clods like that aren't going to hurt anything when the majority of the ground is looking like this. This ground, on the other hand, still needs quite a bit of work. You can see the average clod is about baseball sized, and that's just not going to cut it. Now, is it the end of the world if you have spots in the field that look like that? No. I mean, something will still grow there, but it's not ideal. And if you look out across the field and the majority of your field is looking like the baseball clods rather than the golf ball and marble clods, you still got more work to do. And speaking of having more work to do, I better get back on this tractor and get with it. I've got a little bit left to go out here, but I think I'm going to call it a day because as I've been driving around and kind of evaluating the soil conditions out here, it looks like I'm probably going to have to hit a few of these spots at least one more time. So there's really no point in going nuts trying to get this done today. This portion of the field actually looks really good, which is no surprise because this section always looks really good. It's actually pretty incredible how much the ground can change in just like moving over 30 feet. We'll be in some really hard cloddy stuff, but this stuff right here looks pretty good. So about 20 to 30 feet over, this is what the ground looks like. So to give you a comparison of how big those clods are, there's my boot. So yeah, these are pretty big. And that right there is why I'm saying I'm gonna have to come back out here with the disc and hit a few more of these spots, but we're gaining on her. I wanted to fly the field at the end of the day with the drone, but unfortunately the battery was dead. So at this angle you can see the field actually does look pretty good, and I think with a little bit more work it's going to be ready to plant. The next time we're out in this field, I'll show you guys how I float and roll the ground to smooth it out and get it ready for planting. Thanks for hanging out in the field with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.